The inaugural
Very important
podcast.
conversation
All right,
about
so
play.
Liz,
Yes.
we met, which I don't think you remember, but we met at the event at La Pierre that night.
Okay, yes.
Because you were like, nice to meet you.
Because I was like,
I was like,
You
but
were
I
like-
didn't.
she was like, "Who are you?"
Obviously did not leave an
Who are
impression.
you? Oh yeah, you're
Didn't
Steve,
leave an
right?
impression.
Sorry,
It's
no,
okay.
I remember meeting you then, but then I didn't put that was Steve, the one
Okay.
I was messaging. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
It's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. All
But
right.
do
I mean, that's
remember
fair.
meeting
We
you.
only talked for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But okay, so you started a dating app called Gleam. You want to tell us about it? Because
Yeah.
I know a little bit about it, but Joe's been filling me in, but I don't know the whole story.
So
Tell us the whole story. Start from the beginning.
the whole story
Yeah.
from the beginning. Well, I'll explain what Gleam is first. So Gleam is a video-based dating app where you go on a 10-minute video chat with your match before you can message them, and it's according to your schedule. So it kind of like schedules it for you when you guys are both available. And the idea is to have like an initial actual conversation with the person to just like weed out the people who maybe aren't there for the right reasons before meeting up with them in person.
Okay. Did you start during the pandemic, or was it unrelated to the pandemic?
Yeah, it was. I actually had the idea, like, I feel like for the longest time, but I started working on it during the pandemic. But yeah, it was pre-pandemic that I thought of the video chatting thing. And luckily it kind of launched at like a good time because people were forced to video chat, so they had to do that.
When was the launch?
The launch was in 2021.
Okay, so it's interesting because obviously we're doing our deep dive into dating apps, right? And people were sending me all these random dating apps every day, and
Yes.
and then someone sent me Gleam, and I checked it out, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Fast forward a year, I meet you, and it's like, now we're partnering. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah,
So
super chance
crazy.
meeting, right? Like really.
Yeah.
Did you guys know each other before that event? that
No,
night?
so we got connected from what's his name?
From Mark.
So we were in this little, I guess, dating app circle, right?
Mhm.
You try and meet people to help each other. And I met this guy Mark, and he introduced me to Liz. And I reached out to Liz, and she gave me like the cold shoulder, like, listen, I'm really busy.
I know what that
and
feels like.
I
yeah.
totally
knowing
did.
the story now,
I totally did.
it's like, okay, valid reasons.
It was
but
valid.
I was like, all right, I guess I won't reach out to you. Sorry. And then we see her at the event, and totally different perspective, right? Like, very nice. I was like, oh wow, she's such a lovely woman. Like, this is amazing. I thought she was like, a bitch. But yeah, then we
that's
started
funny.
talking, and then months after that, I had known the story of Gleam, and you reached out, and now we're here. And
Worked out.
It's funny because I had the exact opposite experience. At the party, I was like, what a lovely woman. And then I met her again downstairs, and I was like, what a bitch. Like, this fucking bitch. She doesn't bring Chick-fil-A for us.
Wow,
She doesn't
you guys
remember
are
my name.
cold.
So, yeah, she's going to have to win me back. but-
All right, I'll work to earn your trust back.
Okay, thank
Sorry,
you. So,
Steve.
why did you choose the name Gleam?
I found that naming was like the hardest part. I don't know if you had this experience, but like
we still have that challenge, which I love it, right? Because I'm the only one that says our app's name right from me, right? Even he doesn't say it right, but I gave up on like being frustrated by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. So I'd love to hear
Yeah.
what your thoughts are on it.
Oh man, I'm just having flashbacks to the nights where I like spent like lying down on like my kitchen floor staring at the ceiling being like, why is naming so difficult? I don't know, I remember I first like just came up with some initial names, and then every time you look one up it's like, oh, that's taken, oh, that's taken.
Yeah.
Especially with dating, because there's obviously so many dating apps. So then I started looking up synonyms and like thesaurus and then word combinations, and none of them like really stood out. So I think I had this Word doc, probably like 300 name options.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is like naming a kid.
Yeah.
Worse.
More intense. Yeah.
Way worse.
It
You
was
gotta make
worse
money
'cause-
off of it.
yeah,
You gotta make money
exactly.
off of naming a kid.
Right, but it's not like, but kids, you can name your kid the same name as another kid.
Right,
So
yeah,
dating
it's
app,
true.
you have to have
That's
something
true.
different. So like every name was just like taken. So that was like, it was like, oh my god, this is so difficult. So I ended up coming with like that top 10, and then I did like a bunch of polls. I basically sent it out to like 100 people. I had people vote. And then everyone's top choice was like Cozy, weirdly.
Okay.
Cozy. And then I was just like, yeah, I don't like this one. I'm not going to do it. And actually, someone gave me really good advice, which was you want to pick a name that like aligns with your marketing and your branding.
Right.
And with us, it was like video, right? So we wanted to choose a name that kind of related to that in some sense. And Gleam is like shining a light onto something, which is very, connected to the idea of like doing like a video chat. So I was like, yeah, that's a good reason. And that's why I went with Gleam.
Yeah,
that.
it sounds like a perfect dating
Thank
app
you.
name. Yeah.
And the
It's
stars,
great.
right? Gleam, you get the star.
You
in
get
the,
the little stars.
Yeah.
It just matched. It's just everything
and
just lined up.
it's in LA. You got the stars, the Gleam.
Yeah,
the glamour.
I really I can't tell
Exactly.
you how many conversations we had about from me or from, and then trying to like come up with designs to combine the M and the E at the end, so like it was part of both words.
So ours is ambiguous, but like you said, it has to go with the vibe of the app and the person who makes it, right? So first rounds on me is kind of like me, so I didn't want to stray from that, but we did get our first complaint about our name.
What was that?
So we posted something on Instagram, and this woman writes, I'm from England and the same of my town, and you're tarnishing my town with this dating app crap. Please.
Are you serious?
Take it
I didn't
down.
know about that. Wow.
So
Why are you tarnishing it?
I don't know. So
You're
I
like,
was
I'm
like,
giving
how
you
does one handle
credibility.
this? So I was like, you know what? It being in the public eye, like we hope to be, I just sent her a little heart, and that was it. And she didn't respond. And I was like,
Wow.
sent her some love.
Maybe she needs to get on the app.
It could be like someone from Tinder just fucking with you or something. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Also, I was going to say, isn't it funny how many people send you dating apps as a dating app founder?
Oh, yeah.
That was the one thing I had no idea. Like, people left and right were just, like, sending me new dating apps.
But I would get
I'm like,
anxious when someone would send it to me. 'Cause I'm
So
like,
anxious.
shit, is this my idea?
yeah.
Or I'd be like,
Yeah.
I don't care what you think. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like a lot of mixed feelings. Like, I appreciated them trying to help,
Yes.
but also like wasn't ready at times.
Wasn't ready, and I'm like, I don't want this right now
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
stress inducing, and I think people would do it with like good intentions, like, oh look, there's something kind of
Right.
similar.
So actually, before I met you as well, someone sent me your Forbes article because it was right when we were about to start, doing all of the production stuff.
Yeah.
And they sent me your Forbes article, and I looked at it, and I was like, all right, this is such a great idea, but it's different from mine, so good for her, but also stop sending me these
Stop
fucking
sending
dating
me.
apps. I don't care.
I get them so many times, and I tried to think of like what a good response would be. Like, I wanted to say something along the lines of like, hey, if you're gonna send this to me, like, give me advice or like connect me to some or like help
Right,
me in some
yeah.
way, as opposed to just being like, hey, better watch out. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I would just say,
So
yeah,
annoying.
good for that person. So I said
Yeah.
good for Liz before I even knew Liz.
He
Like,
did.
thanks.
I remember that. Yeah.
Ah, thanks.
So was this
give them
strictly
a cent.
business idea, or was it also trying to scratch your own itch of like problems?
Oh,
in the
definitely
dating
scratching
world?
my own itch 100% because I was like very, very, I mean, I still am like very career focused, and I just found like you just waste so much time on apps because it takes like so much work to like actually like meet up with someone if the conversation doesn't just like die out on text, so I just started like video calling my dates before meeting up with them.
Well,
And it
like,
saved
hold
me.
on, was it off? Like, did you warn them, or did you just straight
No,
up?
obviously I
Okay,
warned
know
them.
that'd be interesting. I don't know if they
But
might.
this was when it wasn't like built into, like
Right.
Hinge has that feature now. They didn't used to. And so I would just message them like, hey, are you down to just do like a quick video chat? And I got a yes almost like every time.
And
So-
what was the general consensus? Were you like, holy shit, thank God
Yeah,
we
did you ever
video
cancel
chatted?
one?
Or was like, oh, this is nice.
Oh, always glad. I've never not been glad I video chatted. And if someone doesn't want a video chat, I question them a little bit.
But I guess since they're confident to do the video chat, they are giving off the right impression.
Yeah.
But have you ever opened the phone and been like, well, good thing we did this because I definitely
Oh,
don't want to meet you.
100%.
Yeah, so you've
100%.
canceled dates after.
Well, all I do is I set up the video chat.
Okay.
And then if it goes well, then we set up a date.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't like do both.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's interesting because I think when we're out there pitching the app, not pitching the app, just talking about the app, right? The first reaction, most people will we say, hey, we have a dating app. Then they kind of roll their eyes. And then they're like, all right, what's
yeah,
different about
a
yours?
lot of eye rolling.
Definitely. And what's different about yours? We tell them, and then they're like, oh, wow, I actually really, really like that. So I think for us, one thing we're finding is the more we get out in front of people, explain it to them, they could put a face to the app and kind of meet us and meet Joe and see what it's all about and see what he's about. Then that really, really helps us like hook people right away.
Yeah,
So that's
definitely.
the challenge, because like you're saying, there's so many dating apps like people send you, but you realize how many of them are actually out there.
Yep.
And what differentiates you really need to get that information in front of people. So
It was getting to a point of comedy where I would like be going on dates with guys who had like made dating apps.
Oh.
I was like, this is just a joke at this point, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, and I think our, partnership is, doing all the PR that we're doing and how they're aligning, but it is kind of perfect where it's like your app was so perfect it still is perfect, but was for the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like the best app you could ever make.
Mhm.
And then
Thank
ours
you.
seamlessly transitions into post-pandemic. Okay, now do the same thing, but in real life. So,
Totally.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
pretty
And
cool.
and you were saying also yours is kind of built like with the female experience in mind.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I want to get into that now, but like why I made First Rounds on Me is, I'm from New York, so I was going on all these dates, not all these dates, but just going on dates.
Mad dates.
And yeah, it was just like, this is so brutal. So I was like, let me ask the women what they want. And
That's great. that you
and
did
then
that.
after 10 dates, I was writing all these notes down, and I'm sure they were like, what are you processing in your head? I'm like, nothing, just enjoying the company. And then I put up the whole concept of how women women didn't want to waste time as much as men wanted to waste time.
Exactly.
So that's what we did.
Because there's also just, I don't know if you guys found this from like the female side, but there's a lot of like men on apps that like were in relationships or married.
Oh,
or, like,
yeah.
whatever. So it's just like, what,
Men are way more sketchy on dating apps and have way more of the wrong intentions than women do.
Yes. And also like from a safety perspective, I've actually been in dangerous situations on dating apps. So for me, it was like very important to like actually screen someone before going to meet them.
Yeah. I think,
And I will say, and this is not me saying it, so don't kill me, women out there, but I've heard from a lot of guys that there's a lot of women, supposedly, allegedly, that use dating apps to get free meals. Just saying, that's what I've heard.
I think that's...
So I think there's issues
What
on
do you
both
think? I
sides.
think that's pretty accurate.
I think there's issues on both sides.
Not saying
I know
it's a majority.
I've heard women that say they have not paid for a meal in an entire month, and that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So pitching our app,
Eventually
they were
you're
actually mad that you can only do one date per day. They wanted two, and they were like, usually on other apps, I get a free lunch and a free dinner. And I was like,
Yeah, so it's a
Motherfucker,
common
I
thing.
don't
And
know
again,
that.
this is what I heard. This is not my personal opinion.
So this is interesting. I have a lot of thoughts on this. Well, first I find it's different in every city. Like in LA, it's like generally my dates get paid for, but a lot of times it's like split. In Austin, no questions asked. Like I never pay.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that
Hannah and I
Southern
just did
cowboy.
a reel where, we were kind of being like, LA guys don't pay for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I was surprised that
So
that was a
true.
thing, being from New York, coming out here and women saying,
Yeah.
a guy will ask you out and then ask you to split the bill. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. No
Oh
way.
yeah, that's so annoying. I think the person
I think that's insane.
who asked the person out should pay for the first date.
100%.
Thank you.
So that's okay. That's
that's
interesting because
100%.
we do talk to a lot of people about that, and especially women. We ask them because
Mm-hmm.
our app, first round's on me. Exactly what you guys are saying. Whoever asked, but women say that the man should still, at the very least, offer, if not pay.
I think so. And
yes.
So do you think?
Absolutely.
But if the woman asks, okay, so at least offer, and if the woman insists, but like has to probably insist like 20 times and literally tell you,
Sure.
yeah.
Here's my rule of thumb, and I'm not right, but this is just me. If and Hannah and I went through this before, but if I ask you out, I know I'm gonna pay, right? But when the bill comes, I would appreciate if you're like, hey, do you want to split this, or at least make a gesture. And it's like, no,
Even
no,
if
no,
there's
I
nothing
got
in
it.
your pocket,
Yeah,
just pretend.
just
Just
allow
go
me
for it,
to
yeah.
say, oh no, I got it.
Totally.
Instead of the bill comes and you're just like, okay, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, look away.
Yeah.
not a thank you or a,
Right.
what the hell?
Yeah,
Definitely.
No,
So
and
that's my
that's
rule of thumb.
That's totally fair. I think it's because like they're like I remember one date specifically where the guy ordered like way more than me, and then was like, "Oh, I offered to pay," and then he's just like, "Oh yeah, equality, right?" And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "If you want to talk about equality, like I'll pay you 70 cents to the dollar for the half that I did not get."
Love
But
it.
It was really annoying.
How do you see New York men versus LA men, or have you lived in New York?
I have a New York, but it was a while ago, so I don't know if I'm like.
So I
as
guess
up to date
Texas,
there.
being in Texas versus LA, the
Oh my
dating
God.
pool in general versus the men.
And the actual dates, I'm curious about too. Like, what are the activities, or is it
Oh,
still
wow.
usually just a drink?
It's so different. Like, so I did live in Nashville at one point, but I hadn't lived in like the South or in Texas really ever till recently. It's much more casual. Like one thing I like doing is like I like playing sports, and
Okay.
no, I've never been on a date with a guy who like likes playing sports like in LA. Like the last time I asked this guy who was like pretty athletic, I was like, "Oh, do you like play sports? Like, think we could go play tennis or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do movie trivia."
Yeah.
Well,
and
Steve's both.
You get
but-
that in West Hollywood, especially. You get movie trivia.
Yeah.
You get gay kickball a lot too.
Yeah, it's a lot
That's
of
one
that.
of the bigger activities.
So like,
I'm gonna come out for Hannah.
I like that. It's very easy to just like, go and like do something very casual with someone that's not necessarily like dinner or drinks. I think
Right.
it's almost like there's kind of more options because it's easier to get around. The city's a lot smaller. There's just a lot more like casual fun things that like you can do.
Yeah. Okay. Joe.
So
Holy shit.
switched.
Wow. Okay. Caught me off guard there.
Yes.
All right. So yeah. Okay. Well, let's just we'll kind of go from there now that we got.
keep talking about the LA New York thing, like both of them now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you can shout stuff out. From
I
over
found
there.
I found dating in LA to be harder than any other city. And I've been to all 50 states. I've lived
Whoa.
on every
All
coast.
50 states?
Yes.
Wow.
I was like thinking, like, I should do like a show with
Did
all
you-
50 states, most of them more than 2 or 3 times.
That's
Wow.
impressive.
I lived in like New York, Nashville, Wisconsin, Texas, California, Denver. So I have been all over the U.S.
Did you
So
go?
you have a really good.
I have a
kind of-
track record.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Did you on a date in every state?
I mean, at some point, yes. Like there was
Wow.
some times where I was.
You might be the only person in America to have done that.
We have to get the Guinness
I
Book
might be.
World
Yeah,
Record-
like that's
Yeah, I should.
Guinness
unbelievable.
Book of Records in here and check it out.
Yeah, I should.
We're gonna find out in like 30 years that she is a serial killer and has murdered somebody in every state, and that's her thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of getting those vibes, but we'll see.
Oh, okay.
Any sort of crazy date, like if you've been on a date in like North Dakota, any sort of differences, or it's still usually is it just like drinks or like dinner? or-
I've not been on a date in North Dakota, although I did go on Tinder in North Korea,
Whoa.
and no one was on it. Fun fact. Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when did
yeah,
you,
Like, rewind for one
I have a lot
second.
of crazy dating stories, you
How
guys.
does that happen?
How'd you get in
does-
North Korea?
How do you even have access to Tinder in North Korea?
I had my phone on me when I was there.
I know, but nobody was.
Nobody showed up. No, I was hoping
You matched
someone
with like
would.
Dennis Rodman and you guys go on.
But yeah,
a nice
no,
date,
he wasn't
yeah.
there.
Okay.
At least he wasn't there at the time.
All right.
No, but the guards that like are there on the buses that take you to and from were like definitely being flirty.
I bet. Yeah.
I think it was all because it was like an act. Oh God,
Okay.
I hope I don't get murdered for saying all this.
Just don't go back. You just can't go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
All right. And Hannah, so you lived in LA for 10 years now, is
Yes,
that right?
sir.
Okay.
A little bit over it.
Do you want to hit us with your general overview of dating in LA?
My general thesis
Yeah.
of the men here
The
in Los
highs, the
Angeles.
lows.
Listen, there hasn't been a lot of highs, to be very honest.
Okay.
Something about, I've lived all over the world, coming from Australia, obviously, with the accent. And I've just never found a more pitiful place, really, to date than Los Angeles. And I don't know if it's
I agree.
because of the industries that are based here, or just the fact that everyone's getting their ego pumped up left, right, and center, or just like the plethora of options. But I found it really difficult, obviously, before meeting Joe, to make a true connection with somebody. Like, it just felt like I was this one, not notch on the bedpost, but like kind of like one person in the roster. There was no real excitement. It was just kind of like, you want to go out to dinner? This is what type of car I drive. This is how much money I earn, blah, blah. And it was all of these statistics rather than actually wanting to get to know who I was or like trying to
Yeah.
connect
Make a
with each
connection,
other.
yeah.
And I found that very different because, like, in Austin, they really do actually want to get to know you.
Yeah.
No one asks for your Instagram, which is very weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it true the bigger the truck, the smaller the...
Can't answer that one yet.
Have you heard? Okay.
But
I don't know.
I'll
I mean,
report back.
Just have the
Okay.
market research.
Yeah. Usually,
But Hannah, I think what you said, I don't think there's any one truth. I think that's all those things weigh into it,
And
right?
listen, I'm not saying that there isn't, lovely people here and people that you can make connections with, but I think that, especially with the amount of dating apps, and they're all kind of the same, based around the same kind of prospects, and I found when I was on dating apps that there were same people on every single dating app as
Yeah.
well. So then I go, I'm done with this one, and I go into the other one. I'm like, what are you doing here? I just said no to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I found it really disheartening actually after a while. I go on like year periods where I was like, screw it, I'm not going on dates because it's just too exhausting.
Did you stay on the apps throughout, even though you weren't?
Sometimes, but truth be told, to be brutally honest, it was just for a little bit of an ego boost, you know what I mean? If I was bored or just wanted to have a chat with somebody, and then I would, but as it always does, it just fizzles out through.
That must be nice because I've been on First Rounds on Me for like 2 months now, and I've only gotten like 2 date requests. So I was telling somebody this last night, and it's been a real blast to the ego. So
I'm so sorry.
yeah, I try to disassociate from the ego, but you
But you
can't
know what?
help
You're
it.
so
you know?
good in person, so maybe that's the the issue right there. Is like I've seen you pull many a chicks just standing there. So
It's because I know Joe. That's why they're trying to get to Joe. But yeah, no, that's interesting, and I think like you said, like LA attracts, especially like West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, like Hollywood in general, like those areas attract like a certain type of person. Everyone's kind of like on their hustle, like trying to do their thing. And I've met plenty of cool, normal people, but they're, I think, a little more few and far between.
yes.
And I've noticed too, like, even go to the gym, right? Like, a lot of people have like their guard up because they're very, they have like this, probably like they're beautiful people. They probably have like these real insecurities about them. And until you actually get to know them, like you don't realize that. And then you also don't realize that most of them are actually really cool and nice and genuine, but
They've put up all of these layers of bravado and ego because of the city itself and how you kind of have to operate. Like me and Joe have conversations about this all the time. Like coming from Australia, you take people at face value. When someone says something to you, you kind of accept verbatim that that's what they mean. Here in Los Angeles, it's like a game of trying to figure out if someone's being truthful with you, being genuine with you, whether they're just nasty people or they're deeply insecure and they haven't been able to be themselves throughout this entire period of living here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's something to like Instagram and social media just weighs in so much where it's like people almost have like, you know, their Instagram identity or the one that they want to portray and put out there, and then who they really are. And it's like people try to live up to a certain identity that's not really them.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, you cure this persona online, and then maybe perhaps people are scared that people are not going to like the version of them that they present because it's not this highlight reel that Instagram or social media kind of is, you know?
Exactly. So Liz, do you have any like cool success stories that you've heard about, you know, through your app? Because I think something that's really cool that happened to us last week is we were doing a pop-up event at Bev in Venice, and I saw this girl that I know. Like it was kind of early in the night. We had a few people there, but there was this girl that I knew. And I saw her from like 30 feet away. So I went up to her. I was like, hey, you here for the event? And she was like, what event? And I was like, oh, we're doing a pop-up at Bev. And she's like, no, I'm actually here for a date that I met on your app. And like, I don't know this girl well enough where like I directly told her about the app. She just kind of heard about it through the grapevine of like, you know, various connections. So just being out in the wild and seeing someone on a date through the app was super cool. So I think they were going on a second date according to what they said afterwards. So just seeing that like little success story is fun.
Yeah. So we do have one. They went on. It was like this guy he's an engineer. So he had told me like he had a harder time like dating on regular apps because, you know, he's a little more like reserved. He's like very intellectual and he hadn't really like found his match necessarily. And then we did an event on Gleam and he met this other woman who was like very similar to him. And their first like video date, I think they talked for like 2 hours. Whoa. And they lived in like, they were like a little bit far away. I don't remember exactly like what cities, but they ended up like sending each other white papers all the time, just like things that they would like talk about.
Wait, I don't know what that is.
It's like, they're like, I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right, white papers, white pages.
Or like the white
I'll Google
pages
that.
when you're looking for like a business to look up.
It's like it's basically like written by some sort of like academic person about like a specific topic.
Oh,
I think they're called white paper. I always mess up.
Well, I'm not really an academic, so
Not either.
no, everyone always made fun of me. Like,
probably
Liz,
what
how
it's
do you
called.
not know what that is? And that was like such a thing.
So
anyways,
you're saying like it's like an academic paper, like
yeah.
Okay.
It's an academic paper. Maybe I'm butchering it, but I think that's what it's called.
No, that works for me.
Anyways, they would
know
send
better than
each
we do.
other
Yeah.
these like white papers and like discuss them,
Whoa.
like, which I thought was so funny. And eventually they ended up moving in together, and I just found out they're engaged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So
The
very
true
excited.
success story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
that's
so cute,
lovely.
especially because he was just like he just literally thought he was like never gonna find anyone, and like
yeah,
the fact that like
that's so nice.
I know I'm very
brings you so
it,
much
it makes me so
joy.
happy. Yeah,
That's
very
really
exciting.
nice. Yeah. So yeah, from video chat to peer-reviewed studies to a beautiful
Yeah,
engagement. I
beautiful
love that.
engagement.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That makes it all worth it right there.
It does make
Yeah.
it all worth it.
As long as
absolutely.
they don't get divorced and ruin their lives, I think that sounds
But
like a
even then,
beautiful
you know,
story.
they had a great journey.
They did, yeah. They enjoyed it for what it was, but I'm
Yeah,
wishing them the
beautiful
best.
story.
Yeah, that's really
Thank
cool
you.
though. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm literally just still thinking about that. It brings so much joy to my heart.
I have a question for you though. Like, what's been the most surprising thing working on a dating app that you didn't expect?
How annoying are you?
No, not at all. That's a really good question. The most surprising thing. Okay, so one thing that I focus a little more on the content and social media, and one thing that we've learned quickly is how, if you don't have the right target audience with some of the influencers that you try to work with, it's basically useless, and it's easy to waste money. And I think it's like, I think the peak of, you know, swipe up ads and branded posts is way past us. And if you don't have your target demo locked in, it just, I don't know if I've ever clicked on like an Instagram ad, like maybe just out of curiosity for it's funny, but I don't think I've ever bought anything from one. And I think as soon as I see one, I just immediately tap through it. But yeah, so finding the right influencers is a challenge.
Have you found influencer marketing works for you?
I would say, so far I would say 10% of the time.
Liz, you can touch on that. Like the question I asked the other day about how you built it up and got awareness, downloads. What your thoughts are on influencers?
Yeah, we didn't have much luck with influencer marketing, which I think people just think, oh yeah, that's what you do when you have
Yeah.
a product. Find an influencer, then they'll post about it, and then you'll get millions of downloads. Like, does not work
I think
that
in
way.
like 2012
Yeah.
to like 2014 or 15, that
Yeah.
worked like a charm.
It
And
doesn't work now.
yeah, because like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how many they have, and it's unbelievable just the amount of fake followers and bots and it's, I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out once you give it like a quick look, but
Yeah.
there's these people like they're just, I feel like they're basically like robbing people sometimes
Oh,
with
yeah.
these branded posts that like
Yeah.
they know that they don't have real engagement. And so basically, for example, without going into the actual specifics, but we worked with a couple that have like really large followings and very attractive people in like LA, and you might think that like might have some value, and then the one that did the best for us has by far the least amount of followers, but she has a very dedicated audience, and it's in our world of dating
Yeah.
and relationships and sex, and that performed
Super
insanely well. So like now we're really trying to focus on finding those people,
Yeah.
as opposed to just bigger names, and those people too. I feel like they put a lot more value on like what they're doing and put a little more love into the post and stuff. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Micro influencers is where
yeah,
it's at.
exactly,
For sure.
exactly.
Yeah, trial and error of trying to figure, as you're going through the process of understanding what your demographic is and how to latch on to influencers who are actually going to bring people in, rather than, as you said, because I don't think I've ever clicked on an Instagram ad
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
unless it was somebody I knew or something that was going on and I was interested in. So yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. It's super. I guess oversaturated is a word, but it's hard to do these days.
Yeah.
So what have you found works for you?
In terms of like growth.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like some of the stuff that worked the best is like just like doing like hands-on organic things. So we did events on Gleam
Yeah.
where we'd set like we did one on like Valentine's Day, for example. So we pick like this like target group of people. We're like, hey, we're gonna do an event on Valentine's Day, so like set your availability to February 14th, and then they would all like swipe on match with each other the week leading up to it, and then on Valentine's Day they all went on like their little dates.
That's
and it was
nice.
just like really cute because it was like a very easy way to get a lot of people on the app who organically without spending any money.
Yeah.
And yeah, they would just like meet and chat.
Well, it's.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's, like I said earlier, like that's kind of what works best for us in terms of like quality engagement, is us being out in the world talking
Yes,
to people
definitely.
and telling them about the app. And we did a similar thing with a girl named Cassidy who runs singles events every month, and phenomenal engagement and super cool. Runs these incredible events, and she's starting to really kind of blow up and do stuff hopefully throughout the country. But just like stuff like actually getting out there, the problem in like the app world and the tech world is you can't scale that really, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like reaching the masses. Like you can try to capitalize by making some videos about it, but like still it's hard to get that out there, and you only have so much time. But the
Yeah.
more we do that, definitely the better. Like
Yeah.
even went to this we did one at USC the other night, trying to like start the college infiltration, if you will. And we were buying the first round, so every college kid wants a free drink. But just being there in such a concentrated area with hundreds of college kids, super valuable, right? And even them like giving us a few minutes to actually talk about it, they seem to really like it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think like from what I've like learned kind of like in person, like on the ground, like grassroots stuff like tends to like work really well in terms of just conversion rates.
definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, harder to scale obviously.
Yeah. All right. So Liz, we have this incredible acquisition, right? First round's on me acquiring Gleam, your little baby. We're going to take great care of it, and we're going to grow it into this beautiful person and put it out into the
Thank
world.
you. It's like my baby's going off to college,
Exactly. Yeah. You're a proud mom.
No one I would trust
Yeah.
Gleam with more than you guys. So
Thank you. So what's next for you? What are you working on? I know you said you're in Austin
Yeah.
now, coming back to LA, but are you going on a 6-month hiatus to Fiji or something? Or are you working on something now?
no, my friends always joke. He gets so mad at me 'cause he's like, Liz, you're always on tour. And I'm like, I just like to travel. I just like to be new places. But
Yeah.
my home base is LA. But yeah, so glad you asked. I'm working on a new site called PopCut, and it's a subscription service for social media video editing. Yeah, very exciting.
Wow.
yeah.
Please tell them.
Yeah,
about
so
that,
it's
because
right now we've actually already signed up a few like brands and agencies, but it's for people looking for like high end video editing. Like obviously our specialty is like social media, but obviously going to expand into like networks and television and things like that. But we find that like the best editors want to be freelancers. Like they tend to not want to work in house. So we have some like really, really great editors on our roster. They've worked at like Disney Plus, Amazon, like Justin Bieber's music videos, Marshmello, Def Jam Records. So
Nice.
yeah, if anyone is looking for like high quality video editing, definitely reach out.
Yeah.
Or check out PopCut.
And Pop Cut, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think especially for me and us trying to do these, turn I guess 1920 by 1080. I don't even know I don't know the
You said it
technical
right. That
jargon,
was great.
But
You
that
did it right.
turned those videos into shorter Instagram clips and vertical videos and TikToks. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's some things out there that do it for you, but having an actual team behind it
Yeah.
that you can trust would be huge.
Yeah. Well, happy to be that person for you.
Yeah. Are you? Do you have like a headquarters? Does everyone work from home type of thing since it's all freelance, or?
It's remote. So me and my co-founder lives in Austin, but basically we have freelancers. They're mostly based in the U.S., but they're all over. Like they don't necessarily need to be in the same location as the person with the footage we found.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with that. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
PopCut. Check out PopCut if you're interested in video editing services by some true professionals.
Thank you.
Yeah.